Let's talk business. We've partnered with Google for the last couple of weeks, and we are going to have this conversation for a couple more days. This is on how to help you get your business online, get your business more visibility, get your business more opportunities where you can even find new markets for your business for the products and services that you trade in. Now, so far, what we've learned from these conversations that we've been having, number one is that you can get your business online as cheaply as free. You get your business visibility by creating just a simple profile on something called Google My Business, where you can even link your business website. You can link your telephone number where people can just call you directly. All this is available. Once you're there, also, you find new tools that have been introduced by Google also for free. Like one that we were discussing last week, Market Finder, where as a business, let's say you trade in leather, you can find what other markets people are really, really looking for leather and leather products. And you then find ways of exploring those new markets. So we've had these conversations with a Google expert, and this is Rosemary Momanyo Pio. She's the SME lead for East Africa at Google, and she is joining us again this morning. Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Had a lovely weekend, I presume.
I did. Good morning, City. Good morning, Do.
Good morning, Rosemary.
Good.
So let's talk about business then. What is it that we'd like us to learn today?
Thank you for that introduction, Eric. So just a refresher, I wanted us to go deeper into one of the questions that I got last week from CT. Or now that you have a business and you are able to export your products internationally with Market Finder, how then do you market your products? Mm-hmm. But before I go into the how to market your products internationally, who wants to guess where the word marketing came from? City, I'm hopeful that you can have an idea.
Good morning. How are you today, Rosemary?
The king of deflection.
Okay, let me help you. So the term marketing came from a Latin word meaning to market or merchant. Mm-hmm. So if you go to any market today, like if you were to walk around the market, and what you see are merchants who are selling their products, and they tend to be yelling, selling potatoes or tomatoes, and it's really just a one-to-many, and it's normally broadcast. And that's how the word marketing came from. It's how are you able as a merchant to be able to create awareness of your products to those who are walking by. And then your hope is that whoever is walking by will hear you shouting at the top of your voice, and hopefully they'll stop by your stall and pick your tomatoes or your potatoes, and that's how it worked. Today, it's a little bit more sophisticated, thankfully. You're able to have almost like a dialogue, a conversation with a potential customer. So as opposed to hoping that you get the right person to walk by and hear you making noise, you're able then to put out your message, and the right person who is looking for your product will hear what you're saying and then come to you. So I want just to dive deeper into this product that we discussed last week, mm-hmm. and walk you through the journey on how, as a merchant, you can be able to market and have a dialogue one-to-one with a potential customer looking for your product. So the first thing, to go global, you have to speak local, right? So that means is, first of all, figure out who you're talking to, right? What is their main language spoken? Are there any important dialects you need to be conscious of? What is their customer journey? And then how are you able to reach them at that, where they are in that customer? And I think you're all experts now. We discussed this in the first week, but it's all about being very clear where they are in the journey, and then being able to reach them at that journey point. And then most importantly, how do they respond to advertising for products like yours? So if you're selling leather like we had from Eric this morning, how do they respond to previous leather advertising elements? What's the competition? Who is the competition? What are they doing? So being able to understand a little bit about the competitor in that market and what they're currently doing. And what's very important also is, what is the cultural landscape and what matters to your market. So we want to be very clear about knowing about the culture dynamics and being able to speak in that dialect that they're already accustomed to. And then finally, what motivates these customers to buy? So this is how you're able to then be local by being global. So I'm just going to stop there and see if there are any questions about this conversation and this one-to-one dialogue with a potential customer. Mm-mm. Good? Good, great. So how then do you go about doing this? So there's 3 platforms that I wanted to highlight. We'll talk about one today. The first one is Google Search. And the second one is the Display Network. And then the third one is the Video Network, which I think you all know as YouTube. So with Google Search, what's important there is you're able then to have a dialogue with a potential customer by saying, you know what, if people are searching for leather products, make sure when you type in the keyword leather products and they're in US or they're in Germany or they're in the UK, my landing page shows up and they're able then to find my leather products on my landing page. That way, you won't just show up randomly when people are searching for shoes or, food. They'll have to type in the keyword leather products. And when they type in those keywords, then you show up. That means that way you're able to be very relevant to the actual customer. The number 2, in the event they don't click on your landing page, for you it's free advertising. You've not lost any money. You've just built for yourself awareness, but you haven't paid anything for that ad showing up. The only time you actually end up paying is if they type in leather products and they see Eric's website there and they click on Eric's website, then they are charged on a cost per click, CPC, right? If they don't click, again, it's free. You'll only be charged as a merchant if an SME a customer actually clicks on your landing page. And then they come to your website, in this case, Eric's website, they see his leather products, and then they browse through and figure out what they're looking for. But remember, if they don't click, for you, it's free advertising. There's no cost to you. You only be charged a cost per click, and that cost per click will vary based on the market. It could be anywhere from USD 1 cent to as high as a little bit, even more than $10. So it'll vary on your market. And of course, the more advanced markets like in the US, the UK, the cost per click is much higher. But in markets that are a little bit more nascent like ours, it's a much, much lower cost per click. So you're able then to help get yourself more customers. But remember, this customer is one who's actively looking for leather products. And therefore, you're able to have a one-to-one dialogue with them and get them to come to your landing page.
Okay. So a question that's coming in is interesting because she's saying, just as you said, go global but speak local. So what if I have a product that is sourced locally, but my market is outside of the country? How then does this work?
So my product is sourced locally. Okay. Can I get an example of what that could be so we can be able to
I'm not sure what kind of example she would have given. However, okay, if I could just think of one.
Maybe she just targets her market.
Maybe her clientele is outside of the country for a specific reason. But she's saying that
she makes them here.
She makes them here and maybe sends them out.
Okay. That's still fine. So you can still source for your raw materials locally, right? Make your product in Kenya. And you can still then go and advertise for your product internationally. So let's just do an example. So for example, back to example, so I'm able to source my local leather in Kenya, and then I'm able to sell my handbags and my shoes and my belts to people in Japan, for example, right? So in that case, what you do is you would create a campaign that targets people who are in Japan. What would be great is to understand what language should you use when you're building this campaign. Do they speak English or Japanese? So it'll be important to understand, to be local to Japanese, I think you need to speak Japanese. That means your campaign needs to be created in Japanese lingo. All your assets, your words, your banners should all be relevant to the local Japanese culture. That way you're able then to speak their local language and have them shop for you when they're in Japan and they're browsing for handbags or shoes or belts. They'll see your ad showing up and it'll be in Japanese. They can click and then come and buy directly from you, even though you're based in Kenya.
All right. So coming back to, you said it's paid per click, depending on somebody has click. Come. Yeah, it's someone has come. They've seen the search result. They've seen my leather company, and then they decided to click on that link to go to my website, so we can start engaging. That's when that's when I'm going to be billed.
Correct.
Is it possible for me to determine how much I'm going to be billed before I put up my advert?
Yes, you can. So the beautiful thing about this product is that you're able then to create for yourself a daily budget and say, you know what, Google, I don't want to spend more than 200 shillings a day on all of my advertising. So when I reach that limit, cut off my spend. That way I don't go beyond my budget. Or Google, you know what, I want to put together a monthly spend. So I don't want to spend more than 5,000 shillings in a month. So when I reach that threshold in the month, cut off my spending. But then also what you'll know is when you're building your campaign, you'll be able to say, fine, if the keyword belt shows up, or the keyword handbag, or the keyword, I don't know, suitcase that is that shows up, here are the range of keyword costs, right? So if you're in the US, the range will be, let's just say, USD 10 cents. If you're in Germany, it could be USD 15 cents. If you're in Kenya, it could be USD 0.01 cents. You're able to now know if I want to get the most of my investment, I know that I'll get the highest cost in the US. Let me figure out how much I want to spend per day or per month in the US, because I believe that's what my target really is. And then I can say, fine, 80% of my spend should go to the US, 20% can then go to Germany, to the UK, and then to Kenya. You're able then to assess ahead of time where you want to invest your efforts and where you want to sell your products to. And you'll be able to estimate and say, fine, I know it's going to be higher in the US. Let me cap my daily monthly spend and not spend beyond this amount daily or monthly.
Can I restrict and block out those expensive areas? So say, for instance, I want to sell my shoes only to the people in Nairobi. I don't want to spend money, so someone to click on this advert in the US or even in Mombasa. Yes.
So you could say, Google, I want to have my ad shop to people in Nairobi and in Mombasa, the end. But if you want to say, you know what, I want to have people limited to maybe my jurisdiction, or I want to look at East Africa, you can decide upfront where your boundary should be, either country specific, or you want it to regional specific, or you want it to be global. So yes, you can define upfront where you want your ads to be seen.
How granular can we be? Remember when you started, we were talking about a plumber in my area, and you picked a plumber who was somewhere on the west side of Nairobi. We picked a plumber who's somewhere on this other side of Nairobi. So is it possible for that plumber to advertise and say, I want this ad to be seen by only people around South B, South C?
Correct. So you can. So you're able to then decide based on your jurisdiction, based on your boundaries, where you want your ad to be. So let's say I'm delivering pizza, for example, and I can only deliver within a 5 km radius around me. You could say I want my ad to show up only in this 5 km radius around me, and therefore it's very targeted and it's very specific.
That's interesting.
Yes, and that's just only one platform. So it's search, which is, again, very, very targeted. It's very specific. It's having one-to-one dialogue. Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about display, which is a little bit more one-to-many conversational. And then therefore we'll talk also about YouTube, which is a little bit more engaging. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to test these products when you get back home and test to see how it works for you as a merchant.
Indeed.
Listening to you, Rosemary, you paint a really lovely, pun intended here, rosy picture. Okay. Now, the question I want to ask is this: what happens if someone tries exactly what we're talking about and it doesn't quite work out the way they want? What's the plan B?
Yes, so good question, Siti. So that's a very good thing. So for most people, it's quite complex to try and do this on their own. And so that's why we provide to them support. So we have our partner, I mentioned them before, Africa 118. They are available to support SMEs in Kenya, across Africa, to help build their first campaign. So normally it can appear daunting to decide what is my budget, do I use search, do I use display, or do I use video? How do I build my assets? What assets should I build? Where do I start? What's my jurisdiction? So all those are very hard questions to figure out if you're a first-time advertiser. So what we do is we have our partner hold your hand. And they say, fine, Eric, you want to sell leather products. You want to focus just in Nairobi. You have a daily budget of 200 Kenya shillings. Let's help you build your first search campaign. Here are the keywords to look out for. Here's your daily budget. Let's test your first campaign, your first day. Let's see how it goes. So for the first month, we will hold your hand with the goal of helping you understand how to build your capacity so that therefore onwards you can be able to do it on your own. But if you get stuck, we're still here to support you. So we have a partner whose job is just to support SMEs in Kenya, hold their hand, and help them build their first campaign in the first month.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rosemary. So we look forward to tomorrow then hearing about the display and then also hearing about the video advertising.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you,
too.
Rosemary.
Have a lovely day. Remember, you can get all this information by just going to What's it again, Rosemary? G dot
co/Grow Africa,
G
or
dot
just
co
rise
/ Grow Africa.
or just Google Rise Up Google,
All right.
and you'll see the link to the Grow 2.0 hub.
Asante sana. Have a good day.
And you too.
22 minutes after 9. Let's take a break, take a look at the weather, and then conversations continue. Remember, if you've got any questions regarding how you can take advantage of all these Google platforms, all you need to do is write to us, Spice FM KE, on Facebook, on Twitter, or you can call us tomorrow morning, 0719-012-600. You can find all this information that we've been having, the conversations that we've been having with Rosemary, on our YouTube channel, Spice FM KE.